Hi guys, welcome to another edition of my coffee chats. Today I'm going to be answering your yoga questions. So a bunch of these were sent to me through Instagram, Facebook, and here on YouTube. I went through all of them and I compiled the ones that showed up the most often. I'm going to answer them here. This is a 4-part coffee chat series. So if you missed last week's video, it was a personal about me coffee chat. So getting to know me a little bit more. This one is all about yoga. Next week's video is going to be for teachers. So tips, advice, all that stuff about teaching online and also teaching in person. And the last video is going to be about body image, weight loss, weight gain, my diet, all that kind of stuff. Okay, let's get into it. So your yoga questions. One of the ones that came up, I would say the most as it related to yoga, was how do you stay motivated and disciplined to practice every single day? Listen, this is a struggle that probably most people go through. I wish there was a simple solution that I could give you that would work for everyone when it comes to motivation and discipline. But I don't really think there is, so I can just share what works best for me. I know myself well enough to know that I seem to operate in a very cyclical nature kind of way. I seem to go through phases. This applies to like my mood, to my yoga practice, to my body. I've gone through this cycle enough times that I can recognize it. So whenever I'm in that phase where I don't feel like getting on my mat, I'm at least able to stop myself from spiraling or letting those thoughts spiral out of control and thinking that I'll never practice again. So I think one of the worst things you can do is to really get down on yourself and to criticize yourself harshly for your lack of discipline and your lack of motivation. Whenever shame and guilt are put into the equation, it is just a disaster. Really let go of any shame you might have over how much you practice, how well you practiced, how much you want to even practice. If you can drop the shame, it'll be a lot easier for you to just see it for what it is. This is just one part of your day, right? So I am fairly disciplined and fairly motivated. Some things that do help me is to just step on my mat. So I never go in with the intention of doing like a 90-minute practice, for example. I really don't set that expectation for myself. I just set the expectation that every day I have to go in my yoga space and I have to sit down on my mat. That's it. Usually what will happen is that as I'm sitting on my mat, I feel like, oh, it'd be nice to stretch my neck or something, or oh, maybe a child's pose would feel good. And then one pose will lead to another, and then another, and then another. Sometimes there are days where I step on my mat, few minutes pass, and I'm just not feeling it. I don't want to. You know what? That's fine too. Again, no shame, no guilt. I know that tomorrow is another day. But I find just having a space in your home, even if it's just like a corner of your room where your mat is out, can be really helpful. Sometimes also what's helpful, or what has been helpful, especially in the past for me when I was like in a rut, is to prepare my outfit. I know it sounds like so silly and superficial, but it did work for me, where I would just like plan my little yoga outfit and I would put it either on my bed or on my yoga mat. So I knew like get changed. Sometimes just putting on the clothes changes the way I feel and makes me want to go and practice yoga. It might be silly, but it does work for me. Another great tip I would suggest is joining a challenge, doing something that keeps you accountable, whether it's just here on YouTube, like doing one of the many 30-day challenges that are available for free on YouTube. That's an amazing way to set a goal for yourself and to stay accountable. And especially if you can do it with someone else, so getting a friend or a family member to participate with you, you are definitely more likely to stick with it and to keep going. So I would definitely recommend joining a challenge if you're feeling that need for consistency and discipline. Habits take a long time to form. If you already have one thing that you do every single day, that without fail, you do that thing, try to tie yoga with it. It's a lot easier to form a new habit by merging it into one that you already have, that you're already good at maintaining. It's already integrated into your lifestyle. Just see, what do you do every single day without fail? And can you associate yoga with that activity? Just like sneak it in there, even if it's just like a little 10-minute flow. So hopefully that helps, but motivation and discipline is very personal. You kind of have to find your own reason for practicing. You know, I think that's another great motivator. Maybe a lot of us come into yoga because we're looking for the physical benefits, and that's why I started yoga, but I found that it could only take me so far. I had to go deeper than that. I had to really uncover what are the emotional and the mental and spiritual benefits of practicing every day. Do I notice that I'm kinder to the people around me? Do I notice that I feel better in my own skin? Do I notice that my focus has improved and I'm more productive during the day? If you're able to associate some more concrete, tangible benefits that are more than just, I'm doing it because it's supposed to be good for you and people told me I should do it, it'll probably be easier to stick with it and make it a consistent part of your practice. Okay, next question. I had a lot of questions about people who were hesitant about teacher training, not sure if they could, but I really like this one where she asked, is it worth doing a yin yoga teacher training or any teacher training if I'm in my 50s? Do older people do trainings as well? So that was super common. I'm really excited to see that so many of you are excited in teacher trainings, and truly I would encourage anyone and everyone to do a teacher training, regardless of whether you have the goal to ever teach yoga. This is not just a young person's game. I know that we see so much youth represented in yoga teacher culture, especially online. Like, a lot of us are younger, and maybe if you're going into studios, maybe you're also seeing that your teachers are younger, but like, we need more representations. Yoga students are very diverse in their age range, and they want to see themselves represented in their teachers. Above and beyond that, even if you don't have the desire to teach, yoga teacher training is one of the best ways that you can deepen your own personal yoga practice. It will teach you about your own body. It will deepen your understanding and your knowledge of yogic philosophy, and it will really help to enrich your experience of yoga overall. It is so empowering. There's so much knowledge to learn. It's a great way to form friendships as well. I mean, I have a great community still from people I did my 200-hour training with, my 300-hour training with. Like, I still talk to them. It's really, really wonderful. I highly recommend it. Please don't be intimidated. Don't let something like age or fitness level or whatever hold you back from doing something that you're interested in pursuing. Just because only like white, thin, young, able-bodied people are being represented and held up as the image of this is what yoga is, that's bullshit. Like, that's marketing. It's not real. Yoga is not just that. And it is not only for that person. You know, anyone can do teacher training. It is such an enriching experience, and we need more diversity as well in our yoga teacher trainings and in the teaching faculty at most studios as well. So please go for it. Please don't let something like age hold you back. Go for it. Just go for it. Trust me, it's awesome. Any recommendations for sore and tight glutes? Sure. If you have sore and tight glutes, I would recommend doing poses like reclined pigeon pose. That's a really good one for your glutes. Also integrating some more forward folds, assuming that you don't have any issues in your lower back. But just try any of my hip opening yoga classes on YouTube. Those should help. What is your favorite and least favorite yoga pose and yoga style? Ooh, that's tough. Okay. I don't even know. Okay, let's do yoga pose first. Favorite yoga pose. You know, it used to be Anjaneyasana, a low lunge, but now I think I'm at the point in my practice where, I don't know. Downward dog. Okay, let's go with downward dog or banana pose and yin. Let's do those as my favorite. Oh, that can't be my favorite though. Maybe child's pose, balasana. That's really hard to just choose one. I'm gonna just put all of those as my favorite. Could be a nice sequence actually put together. Least favorite yoga pose, camel, very difficult for me. Very challenging one to do. Peacock, not a fan of that one. Yeah, back bends are tough for me because I don't do them appropriately. I overcompensate and go into my low back way too much. Shoulder stand. You know what? Shoulder stand. That's the one I'm going to go with. That one is really tough for me, and I don't do it often because it's uncomfortable, even though I know that I need it. So yeah, let's go with that one. Favorite yoga style. I mean, it's yin and vinyasa, but if I could only do one, I think I would choose yin. Oh, that'd be hard though. I don't know. Yeah, I'm gonna go with that. Least favorite style. No offense. I don't like Ashtanga. I've tried it a few times. It is not for me. I don't like doing the same thing over and over again. No offense. It's a great system, I'm sure. Maybe Bikram. Yeah, you know what? I will give Ashtanga yoga more credit. It is a much better system. Bikram is my least favorite style of yoga. Doing the same 26 poses every single time, like at least with Ashtanga, there's like a really nice progression. There's a lot that I like about Ashtanga. It's just not for me. It didn't really work with my taste. Ooh, that was hard. No offense. What are the most important things to keep in mind in handstand technique? Ooh, a lot. I haven't done handstands in a while. Like I don't know why, but my interest level in arm balances and inversions has like declined over the last few years. I was so obsessed with them before, and now I don't know. I don't practice them as much, but when I was working on them, most important thing is consistency. If you're going to work on your handstand, you need to work on it pretty much every single day. And not only do you need to work on it every day, but you need to work it in many different ways. You need to work on it on the wall and off the wall. So many teachers are going to be like, get off the wall. The wall is a crutch. And like, yeah, I can see how only doing handstands at the wall, that does become a crutch. At some point, you do need to face your fear of going to the middle of the room. Maybe you fall. But the wall is an amazing way to build strength and stamina because you're able to hold it for a longer period of time than if you were to only hold it in the middle of the room. So I would say make sure that you are evenly balancing the time you spend on the wall, kicking up to handstand, and also away from the wall, like in the middle of the room. Practice every single day. And this is what I do wrong, but it is the most important thing really for handstand. Make sure you are not exaggerating the sway of your low back. If you have anterior pelvic tilt, you need to almost like tuck in and contract through your abdominals in order to be up straight. If you look at any handstand I've ever done, I'm super sway and I kind of balance in a banana shape. I'm able to balance that way. It is not technically correct. Technically, you want to be like really stick straight. So you need super strong cores. And I like to lock my elbows. A lot of people will say, don't lock your elbows, but I find that really pushing through the hands and really locking, securing into the shoulder joint, pushing it out, locking into the elbow, I'm able to be a lot more stable. So I would say start with that. Any tips, best tips for beginners? I got a lot of questions like that. I'm a beginner, I'm overwhelmed, I don't really know where to begin. I super remember being there and that feeling of it. The best thing you can do as a beginner is to get rid of the pressure you have on yourself to master something right away. I so often get questions that's like, I've been practicing for 3 months. When am I able to move into intermediate classes? Or I'm an intermediate student. When can I progress into advanced? And it is not a linear practice like that. Like, even when you do look at a system like Ashtanga, it's not like, okay, you've been doing level 1 for a year and now you get to move to level 2. Like, no, everyone will progress at a different time, a different pace, and the instructor is there to guide you and let you know when you're ready for the next one. So when people ask me that, I'm like, I don't know. I can't see you. I don't know if you're ready for something more challenging because I don't know how you're practicing right now. But when you are a beginner, it might be hard, but really like love and appreciate you have a huge advantage right now. You have the beginner's mindset. You're able to get into the poses as if it was the first time you had ever done them, which can be a really great way to cultivate body awareness, to really see, how does this feel? What do I notice when I do this one? And the more experienced we become, the harder it is to remember how a pose used to feel. So just know you're in a great place in your practice. You don't need to rush out of beginner. Beginner is not a bad word. Beginner doesn't mean easy. Classes can still be incredibly hard, even if they are beginner. So really get rid of that mindset. So other tips that I would say is to see if you can practice consistently. Stick with some beginner videos, and maybe after a while you can try an intermediate level class just to see how it goes. But try, what helped me the most when I was a beginner was to practice from different teachers and to explore different styles. So, this might be like shooting myself in the foot, but even though you might connect to my classes and my teaching style, if you're a beginner, I would encourage you to go try a video from someone else on YouTube, maybe even a completely other different style. That was one way I was able to really supercharge my growth. I was able to learn so much more, because what happens is that, those of you who've been practicing with me for a while, you might notice that some of the cues, I say the same cues maybe over and over. What you've learned from me, there might be a point in time in which you feel like you're no longer able to learn from me. You've learned everything there was to learn and you've kind of hit a plateau. That's totally normal. It's not like an insult that I'm going to take personally. I've had that experience with a lot of teachers where I was like, okay, I've studied with you for a few years. I feel like I've gotten everything I can out of you. Now let's go see what another teacher's perspective is. And it can really open your mind up, and it can help you not only progress physically in your practice, but really just deepen the connection that you have with yourself. So that's probably my best tip for beginners. Try different styles, try different teachers. Don't stay too boxed in with just one thing. And of course, I'm an online teacher. I should be telling you just watch my videos, forget everyone else, but it's just not what's best for you. I do think variety is the best way. Okay, last question. I have reached a flexibility plateau. I've been practicing for more than 1 year. I saw great improvement at the beginning, and now I am, stuck. I am stuck. I'm sorry, I couldn't read the question. Okay, a flexibility plateau, what to do? I have had so many of those. Similar to the answer I gave for beginners, I would say it might be time to switch up yoga styles. So if you've been working on flexibility by primarily doing vinyasa yoga, I would encourage you to add a little bit of yin yoga. It's almost I think that's kind of the idea behind CrossFit. I don't know, I've never done CrossFit, but correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure the idea behind it is that you're never really doing the same kind of exercise. So your body doesn't have the ability to adapt, because when your body does adapt to something, it's used to doing the same thing. You're not going to see as much progress as you did, right? Same is kind of true with yoga. If you're trying to work on flexibility, doing always the same thing is not necessarily going to give you results. So it's true that doing something consistently can help, but sometimes if you've already been doing something consistently and it's just stagnant, you need to shake it up a little bit and do something different. So I would recommend trying a different style of yoga and switching up your routine. Something that I have learned personally is that there is such a thing as practicing too much. I found that when it comes to flexibility anyway, my biggest gains have come from taking a week or two off fully. And that might sound like, oh my God, if I don't practice, my body's going to get locked up again. For me, it's been the opposite. When I've taken prolonged breaks, for whichever reason, whenever I've come back to the mat, I've noticed that it's now easier for my body to get into poses, and I'm making more progress in flexibility. There's sometimes inflammation in our joints and inflammation throughout our body that prevents us from progressing. So sometimes plateaus are inflammation related, and we need to give our body like an adequate amount of rest and sleep and water in order to really getting it functional again and operating at its very best. So I think those would be my best tips for that. Work with dynamic and static stretching. So vinyasa and yin, get a nice blend of those. And if all else fails, try taking a week or two off. You might just be like severely inflamed. Okay, these were all of your yoga questions answered, at least the most popular ones. Hope you found this enjoyable. I'm going to do a part 3 and 4 next. Those will come out in the next 2 weeks. And if you missed last week's coffee chat, definitely go ahead and give that one a watch. Thank you again so much. Have a great day, and I will practice again with you soon.